Hey everyone, welcome back to Pro Dealer Secrets. Today is episode 9 of our 10-part series on 10 ways to sell 10 more cars this month. In part 9, we're going to talk about how to implement a group interview process to hire the best employees that dramatically improve your business. And we're going to go over exactly what that looks like, how you can save yourself hours and hours per week, how to save yourself headache, how to find the best people, how to keep the best people, and why that's such a big deal. Now, my experience, a majority of business owners, including myself at one point, are absolutely terrible at hiring, interviewing, the whole process. But that's also because you just don't know what to do. You may not know the alternative, and nobody's ever taught you that there's a better way. So are you pretty sick of, people either one being late for their interview, not showing up for their interviews. So now, you've scheduled a time, you've set aside an hour. They don't even show up. They don't have the courtesy to give you a call or a text. And this just repeats itself every week until you get to the point to where you're like, screw it, I'm just going to hire this person because I'm sick of looking. And most people don't realize what that leads to is mediocrity starts seeping into your business. You hire whatever candidate you can, and they turn out to drag down the rest of your employees, or they just don't do their job very well. And then, of course, you got the old quote that everybody says, it's just so hard to find good people. It's just so hard. There's nobody out there. And which is one of the biggest crocs of shit I've ever heard in my life, because there is no shortage of good people. You just have to attract them, because most businesses don't realize that their job postings and their business does not attract people that you would consider good people. The employees that are excellent and great at what they do, that are going to take your business to the next level, they are interviewing you just as much as you are interviewing them. They want to see if that's a place that is worth working at, if it's going to be a good place to be at, if they're going to be able to be successful, if it's something that they feel like is a good opportunity to grow in. All those kind of things go into play. So you have to realize that you're not just hiring people. People are interviewing you as well to see if that's a place they want to be at. So today's video, we're going to go over pretty much how to do that. Not in depth, not all the way, but I'm going to give you the resources to take this further. I'll give you the overview today. That way you can at least get started. I'm going to give you a lot of resources to do that, including scripts, job posting examples, all that stuff. Now remember, this is going to save you so much time and energy, and it will drastically improve the quality of your employees. And as a result, it will completely change your business and help you free up time and headache. For me, having 3 employees, salesperson, mechanic, and detailer, that I knew were good, I didn't have to worry about. Of course, you have to manage them and make sure everything's going good, make sure they can do their job successfully. But you want to get to a point to where you kind of get out of their way, let them do their job very well, and you can help with whatever they need. Your role kind of becomes just helping your employees with what they need and kind of coaching them up where possible. Help them do things better, help them find ways to do things better, that kind of thing. So first, I got this link below. If you click on it, you will go to this document, which I call the magic of the group interview, how to find great employees. And it's an 11-page document that goes over just in depth all this stuff. I typed this up myself. I could pretty much make it a book at this point. So first, we'll go over some quick facts, which is 85% of employers caught applicants lying on their resume. We all know that's true. The Chamber of Commerce estimates that 75% of employees steal from the workplace, and most do so repeatedly, and that's a result of poor employees. Resumes are definitely some of the best fiction material to read if you can't sleep at night, and I don't read resumes unless I'm going to hire that person. So part 1, we'll go over an overview of the group interview process and how it can literally change your life. So most people are not good employees. These stats would actually suggest that 15% or less of the population would be considered a good employee. And in my experience, this has been very true. So this is why you have to have a process and a filter to only hire the best people who will improve your business, and to weed out all the people that will suck the life out of you, literally, waste your time, and create just a massive headache. But most people don't know how to do that other than just post a few job ads, read some resumes, and try to interview the people that seem like a good fit. Well, I will tell you something, and this is a lot of successful businesses use this mantra, like Southwest and other ones. You need to hire for attitude and train the skill. Now, when it comes to mechanics, that's not 100% true, and even detailing, you got to know a little bit. But I've generally found that preferring a great attitude over skill is preferred. There's plenty of mechanics, but if you can find the mechanic that just loves his job, he's out to always improve, he will be better than somebody that doesn't have that outlook. So here's something I'm going to kind of profound realization is, if you are ever on the fence about firing someone, and the reason that you aren't firing them is because you don't want to do their job yourself, or you're scared of not being able to find someone to fill the position, that is a surefire sign that you must fire them. And whether it's right now or after you find a replacement, you need to mentally commit to firing this person and replacing them with someone better. And for me, I get kind of excited about firing people because, for me, every single time I've gotten rid of someone and hired someone, the next person has always been better. So I got to a point to where I realized that when we fire someone, there's a high chance that the next person is going to be better. And I've gone through this process for a few years now and gotten to a point to where we have a great team. But you have to have that mindset too, is you need to continually get better as an interviewer and a hirer, and always finding better people. So part 2, we got some basic rules that you have to follow as an interviewer, which is that you need to have the group interview every week, consistently, and always on the same day and same time. Now, actually, whether it's once a month or weekly, you just have to have it on a regular schedule, because you may not be hiring that many people, but you don't really ever want to stop the group interview, even if you initially do it weekly to hire someone, and then just do it monthly after that, because you may come across someone that's so good that you just don't want to let them go. You may just have to find a spot for them. And number 2 is, when you do have the group interview, nobody ever gets in late, period. Even if they're a minute late, we lock the doors, because on our job ads, we tell people specifically to bring a resume and be early. If they can't be on time to the interview, you don't think they'll be on time to the job. They're setting the precedent right up front. And I've found that the way that somebody does one thing is the way they do everything. So if they're going to be late to the job interview, they're going to be late to the job, guaranteed. And I can't stand lateness. I cannot stand lateness at all. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. Number 3, the interview does not exceed 30 to 45 minutes. This is not a hour-long plus marathon. Especially for just a handful of people, this should be plenty of time. Go through the script that we have later in this document and just follow it. And, it shouldn't take much longer than 30 to 45 minutes. So instruct the interviewee before the interview. And this is our template we use. When somebody emails, calls, or texts about the job, we just send the following reply, which is, awesome, I want to invite you to interview on Monday morning at 8:30. Be early and be sure to bring a resume, and then your business name, address, and then if, it's usually a good idea to include specific instructions to the location, especially if you have a hard-to-find place. Watch for prospects that comply with what you say specifically. Most won't. And luckily, they are kind enough to weed themselves out of the job for you without you having to even pay them a penny or learn that, after you hiring them, that they can't do a simple task. If they can't follow a simple task like this, they're not going to follow a simple task on the job. Don't read the resume. And I've found that often the best candidates have the worst resume, whether because they didn't get the right opportunities or whatever it might be. Resumes are terrible. They don't matter in any way. My resume, if I were to make you one, would be pretty bad. If they say they can't make it, or I've heard this one, they don't do group interviews, just simply reply with this: great, we hold the interview every Monday at 8:30. You're welcome to come next week. And these are the only two things you should really be saying to any potential interviewee, because it's just not worth the time to go through and read resumes, personalize your responses, all that stuff. Now, maybe if they ask a few specific questions, you might, but for me, I just don't spend much time on this process because it's not worth wasting my time on people that suck. When you're in the interview, don't ask in-depth personal questions. Just script out some broad questions to ask at the end of the interview that reveals a prospect's interest level and their alignment with your core values. And I've already included our script. Of course, you can come up with your own. Just don't get personal because, one, everybody's in a group setting, so a lot of people don't feel comfortable. But two, it doesn't really matter. Number 6, after going through the entire script, at the end of the interview, collect everyone's resume and applications, and then conclude the meeting. And you want to tell people when they're leaving that, hey, we're gonna look over all the candidates. If we're interested in having you back to shadow, we'll give you a call. Otherwise, you don't need to call us because we'll call you if we're interested. That way you can weed out all the dumb phone calls. So then evaluate and decide which prospects, if any, will call back to shadow. And then have them come back and just personally follow you for 1 to 3 hours. And the purpose of the shadow is because it's going to give you a feel for how they interact with you, your company, and other employees. Don't do anything special with your day. Just continue about what you normally do. Just have them follow you, be around you. Give them some tasks to do. Kind of watch how they do things. If they complain about doing something simple, then it's probably not a good fit. And it gives you a chance to see if you even want to be around this person long term, because when you hire someone, you're going to be around them. So when they shadow you, you can see if you even like them, if you even want to be around, if they're annoying as hell. You get to see that without even paying them. The shadow process is great for me because I've had a lot of people that I just decided I don't like to be around this person. I don't like the way they talk. I don't like the way they do this or that, and they're just going to be annoying. So then, I can just pretty much fire them without ever having hired them and not wasting any money on it. When they do shadow you, have them ask you questions about the job, and you can really get a feel for someone based on what questions they ask. If they ask a lot of questions, good questions, you're like, hey, they're interested in this job. They actually have an inquisitive mind. They're going to look to do better. And then have them follow you around, and you really get a good feel for how their attitude is, because you don't have to have them do job-specific skill tasks. You just see what their attitude is. If they're complaining the whole time about a bunch of random crap, you don't really want to be around them if they're just going to be complaining all day, every day. So I have a job shadow checklist as well that we'll go over, but this is an example job posting for sales mechanic, or sales manager, mechanic, and detailer. So this right here is our sales manager job posting. You can, if you want to, just simply go through and you can copy and paste all this right here, and then take your information and substitute it in, or kind of change up a few words if you want. But the way that we wrote the ad is to communicate to the great employees that we are a fit for you. It's just as important to tell the potential employee that you're a great fit as it is for the employee to be a great fit for you. So we go over and we write this ad in such a way that it weeds out mediocre people. There's stuff in there that to a lazy person, it's scary, but to a great employee, it's like, wow, that's me. This is where I need to be. So, for instance, we're seeking a diligent, coachable, highly motivated individual who has a passion for sales. Now, somebody that doesn't have the passion for sales, they're just going to weed themselves out and never even apply. So that's great. Now, I will guarantee that you won't get as many applicants. You won't get as much people replying to these job ads, but you'll get better people and you'll waste less time. So here's a detailer example for a job posting. Kind of goes over, what we expect and, what the job task might include. And then it has, the rest about us. We tell people about us because we want them to know that we're the right place for them. Then here's a mechanic example for a job posting. We don't require ASC certification, and we don't do any heavy line work. So we tell people that up front. Like, we don't do any engine swaps or any major heavy work, so don't worry about that. So the next, in part 4, I'll give you an example. I'll give you the Ocean Auto Sales Group interview outline. This is what we use to interview people, and you can just simply go through and print this. Go through. This is the exact script we use, and you can adapt it a little bit for yourself, whatever you like to do. And it has, bold is directions, and then quotes are the words that we say. So this is the actual real one that we use. You can use it if you like. And then here is the job shadow checklist. So if you do invite someone back to shadow with you, here you can go and, have a checklist here. Something, things to look for, things to take note of. One thing I've always liked to do is you want to create a polarizing environment and situation to where there's no it's okay. Like, you need to make sure that people either love being there or they hate being there. And part of how I do that is testing the person's pressure limits, like how much can they take, what can they handle, as well as laying off completely and seeing how they work with no supervision for a day or two, and then also seeing how they work under intense scrutiny for a day or two, and you kind of get an idea of how they're going to react to certain things. You start to see if they're just going to slack off or if they're going to take more responsibility. You also get a chance to see if they prefer to be more hands-on managed or hands-off managed, if they can even manage themselves. But also, I like to give people kind of some pointers, advice, stuff I notice, kind of test them to see how they react to certain beliefs and outlooks on life, perception, stuff like that. So I'll give you an example. If somebody mentions the fact that, wow, America has so many guns and it's the worst, it's the worst thing that's happened to our society since slavery or whatever, I might say, because I believe in guns, and in Oklahoma you can have a concealed carry or open carry without a license. It's great. And no, we don't have mass shootings. So I might reply to the person that, hey, California and Chicago have the lowest legal gun ownership rate and they have the highest murder rates. What do you think about that? And they might say whatever, this or that. And I'll say, well, here in Oklahoma, you can open carry or conceal carry without a license. And then I might pull out my AR-15 and see, if they, and ask them, do you think this is like a weapon of mass destruction or what? If you look at this, what do you see? And they might say a death machine. And I might say, this is the exact same thing as a deer rifle within a magazine. Like, it's no different. It shoots the same bullets in some cases. And then, just kind of see how they respond to my beliefs and the beliefs of the employees. Because, you don't want somebody that's completely opposite of everything you are, because that just creates conflict. So hopefully this video was very enlightening. This is a very valuable concept, and this will change your life. I mean, if you have employees and you hire frequently, this will be a game changer, I promise you, because once you have amazing employees, it will change everything for you. I mean, imagine not having to micromanage people, not having to worry about everybody doing their job. When you have great employees, that's what happens. And here's a great quote from Steve Jobs right here. I noticed that the dynamic range between what an average person could accomplish and what the best person could accomplish was exponential, 50 or 100 to 1. Given that, you're well advised to go after the cream of the cream. A small team of A-plus players can run circles around a giant team of B and C players. And then another place that I learned quite a bit of cool stuff from is Clay Clark, who has a Thrive Time podcast. And he says, hire A players. You simply cannot afford to employ B and C players who will plague your business with chronic lateness, life issues, missed deadlines, and personal problems. And that has been 100% true. I have had to deal with all of that, and I have learned how to avoid all of that. Excuse me. So for the resources of this video, we have the link that goes to this page. Excuse me. So for this video, I've included resources where you can download this. There are 2 podcasts here that I recommend listening to. They will give you more in-depth knowledge on that, because I learned the group interview process from this Thrive Time podcast and Clay Clark. He's a guy I used to work for 10 years ago. He owned a DJ company at the time, and I worked for him, but then now he's one of the biggest business coaches in America. So he's taught me quite a bit of extremely valuable information about how to hire properly, and that's what you'll learn in these 2 podcasts. So that is today's video, guys. Part 9 of 10 parts. The next one will be great as well. So this is Anthony with Pro Dealer Secrets, and I will see you guys in the next video.